Alright, good evening. This is Corporal Cortello with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Mod cast. Today we have Texanius the Legend as the Kommando knob right here. Look at all that gear he has. He's got those stick grenades sticking out, he's got those goggles, and on the other side we have Toilailee, however you say his name, as the Techmarine, and he's got an under-leveled Techmarine, not even level 60. He's got like the default helmet, even though he's got a new helmet in Elite Mod. But anyway, I think this is actually a tournament match that occurred sometime recently between Tex and Toilailee. Well, it was a tournament for more than just Tex and Toilailee, but they were participants. They're two of the best players in the game right now. Toilailee is a little bit newer school than Tex, but he's definitely proven himself, mostly with the Imperial Guard, so it's interesting to see him now playing as other races. And doing it, not just playing other races, but he's doing it in a tournament setting. Assuming I'm right that this is a tournament match. Anyway, Kommando knob right here. Comes cloaked. He uncloaks to shoot at scouts. That's a good thing to do with the Kommando knob in this matchup. I think Kommando knob is traditionally considered not that great against power armor races. But one of the good things about him is that he has a very good damage just on his starting weapon. And it's really good for bleeding models off of regular infantry units. So in this matchup, you would mainly want to do that to scouts. And if you get a good... Basically, if they don't retreat the scouts early enough, they're probably going to lose at least one model. And scouts versus the Kommando knob is definitely a big winning battle for the Kommando knob. And that engagement also means that Tex very quickly captured Toilailee's natural victory point. Meanwhile, this node's now getting a little bit bashed. Got both shooters down right here. No big shooters yet, but with the Kommando knob and these two squads, they will probably get that node down. Meanwhile, over here, Toilailee is actually capturing Tex's natural victory point, but he's not actually bothering with the generator bash of his own. He's moving his tax back here. I think he wants to bring his tax back for defense, because tax definitely win against shooters. The Techmarine himself also does win against shooters, but he's spending a little too much time getting chased down, trying to force melee, and he's also a 3-on-1, so he's not going to win that. Tex is taking advantage of the garrisons on this map, this guard tower right here. So that does mean that Toilailee needs to get some kind of anti-garrison. Fortunately, Space Marines these days have pretty good anti-garrison between Scout Grenade as well as Flamer Attack. You can take your pick. Tex gets a Luda. Very good choice. Ludas are a great choice now. They do a lot of damage. But Toilailee is going to counter that with some Assault Space Marines. And Assault Space Marines still just as good as they always have been. Or at least in Retribution. I never played Chaos Rising or Vanilla. And they will be able to easily just jump on that squad here. Tex is getting a second Slugger Boy squad, though. That is an interesting choice. Tex decapping with his Kommando knob means the Kommando knob can't be shot at as long as he's decapping, unless they have some a Scout Sergeant to detect him. And I'm surprised not to see a Scout Sergeant, actually, between both the garrisons as well as just the fact that we have a Kommando knob who can infiltrate. I would expect to see at least one Scout Sergeant. Assault Marines, where are they? They are coming up. They will jump on this Luda, and the Assault Marines right here are going to be basically uncountered. We got a little bit of lag going down from my computer. Slugger Boy's coming in, but I don't know if Slugger Boys even beat Assault Space Marines in Tier 1. And Tax coming up to support the Assault Space Marines. Assault Space Marines can even do another jump just for the sake of disruption. Although it looks like Toilailee's not going to do that. He does get a special attack on Sluggers. Sluggers, for some reason, only have melee skill of 60, so they are going to get knocked back by most regular melee squads, even though they do the damage of a melee specialist squad. They don't have the melee skill of one. I'm not sure why that's been done. Unless it was changed in Elite Mod, which I don't think it has been. We actually have 5 units for Tex. This is a pretty big Tier 1. Tex's power node right here is going to go down. We do see a full power farm over here from Toilailee, and we have now a full power farm over here from Tex. Looks like Luda's getting set up. They're hiding their guns. Just a free ability for the Ludas, and especially good now that they can just open fire when these attacks are so close. Doesn't look like... There we go. There it goes from... And that does a lot of damage. Now that Ludas do a lot of damage, that ability is going to be very powerful. And Toilailee says cool. And, you know, between that and also the Kommando knob, would expect to see scouts with a sergeant, and we do see it right here. He's also getting the elite training so that his scouts can infiltrate. I guess it's kind of to give Tex a taste of some of his own medicine. And right now Tex does not actually have any detectors, although it's not that hard to get a detector, and he's even getting one right now. He's getting that knob leader. Maybe he saw these scouts infiltrate. We'll see. Infiltrated scouts it's kind of tough to work around with because they don't actually do that much unless you really manage the energy well enough that you can actually save enough energy to use one of their abilities after they infiltrate. We do have shooter boys shooting off their big shooters. Shooter boys nerfed a little bit in Elite, but still very good just because most of the damage comes from those two models with the big shooters. Looks like the Assault Space Marines going after the Kommando knob, but he's jumping into the building. A little low on health. They've got about like 75% health, 70% health. They've got enough energy for a jump though, so they can do something, but they're getting chased down a bit. I think they need to jump. That's an evasive jump, and he needs to just kind of get out of there. Toilailee actually putting up new extra power generators on this contested power node. Meanwhile, Toilailee is using the capping power of his scouts to capture, and then he can basically take care of most of the fighting just with these three units: the Techmarine, the Assault Space Marines, and the Tax. The only problem is that at this point they all do have to retreat, taking too much damage. Assault Space Marines don't want to lose a model. Meanwhile, the Tactical Marines do. But, you know, Tactical Marines just tank so much damage that they can just bleed a lot of models off squads like Shooter Boys without taking any losses, as long as Space Marine players keep track of them and then retreat them, have good judgment about retreating them. Scouts, on the other hand, not so great at fighting in this matchup, just because they will lose very badly to shooters. So you generally don't even want them to engage shooters. Unless you've already got them force meleeed or meleeed by something, or their attention is just turned elsewhere. We're definitely going to get some nodes going down right here. We got a lot of DACA taking down these nodes. Two shooters, both with knobs now, along with Slugger Boys and the Luda. Luda has a good firing arc, so it can shoot at the node now, and it can shoot at any Space Marine units that come in this general direction right around here. But it looks like we have the main fighting force for the Space Marines up on top. They are in a position where they're behind the Orcs. And they're actually mainly going to go for the power node. Scouts mostly used for capping. So Toilailee showing off a little bit of knowledge about how to play this race. Even though he's mainly an Imperial Guard player, he's kind of showing off that he's an expert at this game. And he can play a lot of different things. And this power node will go down, definitely. Tax deciding not to upgrade to a Flamer. I've been saying that I think Flame Attack is a great idea. You can easily wipe out this whole generator farm with a Flame Attack, and that essentially pays for its next weapon upgrade. Luda Boy's over here. Unfortunately, Tech's not quite paying attention, and the Luda Boy model is just losing models from the Techmarine. And these Shooter Boys not even at full health, so it's saving Tech some requisition, but he still gets very effective range damage, even without reinforcing those two models on both squads. Greenskins do love their guns, yes they do. Scout Marines right there getting forced off by those double shooters. For the most part, it's just a huge losing battle, and you should not engage Shooter Boys with scouts. As we can see, though, on this scout squad, no, just kidding, on this scout squad, Toilailee is upgrading to shotguns. That is a very good choice, especially Tex does have two Shooter Boys on the field, so that is going to be very useful for just forcing off those Shooter Boys when they come, and then the range damage of the Space Marine range blob will do enough damage to force them off. We got a zap going down here on the Space Marine blob, on the ASM in particular, who have lost a lot of their health. But we do have a Dreadnought out here for Toilailee. Very good unit in my opinion. I love... Ooh! And the Techmarine goes down. Look at the way he just flew out of the building right there. We got an S-face. I've never seen that. I can't make an S-face with my mouth. So Toilailee did lose his... He did get the map control in that engagement, but he lost his Techmarine. Instantly buys him back because he knows he needs him. Techmarine has no upgrades. Neither does the Kommando Knob. I think the Kommando Knob, you definitely want some upgrades in this matchup. Techmarine can still do pretty well in this matchup even without upgrades. Just because he does good range damage and can bleed a lot of models off of shooters and sluggers. We got a grenade spike going off right there. Takes out 2 models. Pretty good grenade. I think the Kommando Knob, though, a little more important to give him some war gear in this matchup. But what I've been noticing is that as much as I always buy war gear, especially in Tier 1 I buy war gear, I'm frequently seeing from these high-level players that they don't wait until they're about Tier 2 before they get any war gear. We're seeing the first war gear right now coming from Tex. He's getting the special shooter, basically a shotgun. It's kind of strange considering... Generally not considered that good in this matchup. It's more of a high model, low HP squad killer. We got a mass retreat from the Orcs right here because they don't have the AV to fight the Dreadnought right now. Looks like Vanguard Space Marines coming in place of those TACs. Vanguard's very good. Immediately switching to the Hellfire Bolts. Good. That means Toilailee knows what he's doing. Effective against pretty much the entire Orc army right now. Except for maybe the Kommando Knob and the Weird Boy, but even against them, it will do really good against them when they're in retreat. It seems to, I'm guessing, full damage on retreat, just because it's really good at killing retreating squads. Really helps them out with that, considering killing retreating squads is actually one of Space Marine's biggest weaknesses. They're actually the worst race at it in the game for doing it. Ludaboy has upgraded to the Beamy Death Gun, though, and it does a huge damage in a single shot. So this Dreadnought is definitely in a lot of trouble. If it gets one more shot off, it should kill it. Looks like the Dreadnought... Oh my god, I was wrong. But it really needs to get out of that firing arc right now. It's just barely outside, and it just barely gets out. And it needs repairs from those scouts. One of the good things about multiple scouts, though, is that it really helps to support having a vehicle, basically. Although Toilailee is playing as the Techmarine, so he is a little more able to support vehicles even without a second scout squad. ASM right here, a little low on health, but fortunately for them, Assault Space Marines against shooters is a huge win for the Assault Space Marines, and they take out that Shooter Boy squad from Tex. Assault Space Marines in trouble, possibly going to get wiped right now. I think they might get wiped, or will he get lucky? That's really close, but I think they're just about going to get out of there. And that's a huge risk from Toilailee. A lot of model bleed, but still worth it to take out that Shooter Boy squad, I think, because at least he keeps the Assault Space Marine squad. They're at level 2, more than halfway to level 3. This Dreadnought right here being supported, again, getting that repair support. As long as he can... Well, the difficulty with dealing with this Ludaboy squad is that it is infiltrated. And Shooter Boy's right there, forcing off those shotgun scouts. Both scouts right now upgraded to 4 members. This is actually something I like to do, upgrading my scouts to 4 members, just because it really improves the durability of the squad. And when you have shotguns, it also really improves the damage of the squad. It is a little expensive, though, and you could argue that resources could be better spent elsewhere. Meanwhile, while I'm talking, this Weird Boy, I guess Tex just lost track of it because he's basically just in melee with the Dreadnought, and the Weird Boy goes down, which is a huge, absolutely terrible loss for Tex. And Toilailee getting really close to losing with this Dreadnought. He's actually getting repaired right now by the Techmarine Global. Assault Space Marines coming right here. Generally not a winning battle against Sluggo Boys with the Knob, but they do use their merciless strike ability. But in that engagement, Toilailee did lose the Assault Marine Sergeant. Luckily, his Assault Marines are almost level 3, though. We got Stern Guard capturing over here, while the Kommando Knob, again, with that special shooter. Now, ooh, wow. Looks like he lost that other Shooter Boy squad too, and this is not looking good for Tex now. He's down to 3 squads. He does at least have AV to deal with that vehicle, kind of. And luckily, there is no snare on this Beamy Luda, but it does just do so much damage in a single hit. And especially if Tex doesn't always know where it is, it can still really threaten that Dreadnought. And twice this Dreadnought has come within 1 shot of dying. I think if Tex had one more source of AV, that Dreadnought would be dead. And Tex is now getting one of the best sources of AV, especially anti-Walker AV, which is the knobs right here. Assault Marines, get a new Assault Marine Sergeant, just because that Merciless Strike ability is very good. It does really help the Assault Marines to stall out specialist melee squads like Slugger Boys, because otherwise those are not really fights that they win. Assault Marines, good for disruption, but their actual melee fighting capacity is not really as good as specialist melee units. They're thought of more as a disruption unit that does melee. They also, although they do have some of the best range damage of a melee squad, although they do get beaten in that regard by Ogrins. Ogrins actually do, each Ogrin model actually does about as much damage as a TAC model, which is interesting, kind of. Maybe not. We do have a 3-cap now going on from Toilailee, using that Dreadnought to support these scouts. And Tex is just kind of waiting for that Dreadnought to come in here, but unfortunately, the Beamy Luda does take a shot, but Toilailee knows that they're there right now, so he's going to walk right up to them. And now that Beamy Luda has to go before it gets... He's probably going to lose a model. Not going to get wiped, though. And we got infiltrated knobs. That's going to be a bitch. But Toilailee does use... Oh, Toilailee... Wow, alright. I think Toilailee's going to win this engagement. He does force off the Assault Space Marines. Stern Guards turn on, and they shall know no fear. And we do have that Emperor's Fist going down, stunning and knocking back the knobs. But knobs still... They counter all walkers, even the tier 3 ones like the Carnifexes and the Swarm Lords. They just counter them, especially once they have their hammers, which Tex doesn't have yet. But he did upgrade to the knob, and he did get meaner and greener. Toilailee got a Predator, and I guess he knows his Dreadnought is going down, which is kind of sad. I love Dreadnoughts. I like to see them last long and do a lot of good work, but it's all about this Predator right now. Especially, well, I was going to say that for a while, Tex was struggling to deal with that Dreadnought when he only had the Beamy Luda. But now that he's got the knobs, all of Toilailee's AV is in trouble. But I guess one thing to consider is that Orcs don't have any kind of vehicle snare. The only potential vehicle snare they have is actually the stun bomb on the Kommando. And we do see now that the Kommando has gotten the rocket launcher to have another source of AV. But basically, because this is a tank and not a walker, it can actually just kite most sources of AV. And with good micromanagement, it can be very difficult to kill a vehicle as Orcs if the Space Marine is, or any other race is, managing their vehicle very well. And we just have so much repair power now. We have shotguns on both scouts too. I guess that's a really good idea, actually, to help deal with the knobs. Toilailee is really investing in knob counters right now. He's got the plasma gun. He's also got bionics. Now, interestingly enough, that's one potential choice. He could also get Signum armor so that he could mark target on the knobs so that they will take more damage. But he goes for bionics so that he can disrupt them more. Either one could potentially work. He does already have a lot of disruption with 2 shotgun scouts, though. We do have these infiltrated Ludas, I guess, kind of just hoping that the Predator will come its way. We also have the infiltrated Commando knob. Still only has a weapon, no other war gear. Fortunately, the knob himself cannot take on this tank. He does need a combined force of at least the knobs, potentially also the Luda Boy. We do have generators going down. That means that Toilailee's getting a lot of red. I think he's been using it on the repair global to keep his vehicles alive. We got backcapping from Slugger Boys. Tex still has 2 Slugger Boys in the field. It's kind of sad that he doesn't have either one of his Shooter Boys, just because Shooter Boys are a good unit. But he does have Commando knobs right now. Not Commando knobs. He's got Commandos. Commandos, they now capture at 1.5 speed, kind of like Tax. And that's kind of why Tex was using them to capture right there. But now we have knobs. They do have their huge hammers. And this tank in a position where it's been path blocked by its own units. Big engagement going on right here. Assault Space Marine's in trouble. Probably going to lose a model. Maybe the Assault Marine Sergeant. There's a model. We do have the knobs, but they should get blasted back by something. Maybe. Oh, we just got Scout Marines going out right here, and this Predator tank is at risk for going down. But Toilailee, Tex decides to go for the Stern Guard instead, and Stern Guard retreat immediately so they don't lose models. But now knobs are going back, so they don't lose models. Plasma gun right here, also again used for countering those knobs, just because it will do a lot of damage. And Tex is still keeping the pressure on Toilailee's natural victory point. Frequently has it captured. Commandos right here, only at 3 models. They do a lot of damage though. Toilailee trying to capture Tex's natural power. Probably not the most important thing to do right now, but it's just for the hell of it. Assault Marines lost the Sergeant again and are trying to get it back. What Toilailee needs to do is capture his natural victory point back, because it's not exactly contested right now, and he's got scouts that are just sitting here. They are repairing, which is important, but they could be doing more. What do we have going down here? We either have like a Venerable Dreadnought or Terminators. Ranged Terminators, pretty good against Orcs. Very good against most of the Orc squads, the Ludas, the Sluggas, the Commandos. Not so much against the Knobs. You would want Assault Terminators against the Knobs, but Toilailee is playing as the Techmarine, so he can't use Assault Terminators. And we just see the Commando Knob using the special shooter to knock the Techmarine down. And now we see these knobs right here. The smart thing to do right there is to just get out of there. And now he's got support for these, to deal with these knobs. Between the Predator tank, 2 shotgun scouts. Knobs, unfortunately, are actually pretty much countered. As extremely powerful as they are, they're not going to win this engagement. I really think they're better than individually than any of these units, and I think that was a call to boys. Yes, it was. But there's and here's the rest of those knobs. Call to boys. They do lose their knob. And now they're still losing this fight. Not great judgment by Tex. Is he even going to lose this squad? No, he's not going to lose the squad. But knobs down to 1 model is terrible. Tex can reinforce it all, but huge, way too expensive and not really worth it. Assault Marines almost in trouble. Lost a lot of models right here. Yeah, I guess the reason that Tex is having so much trouble is that the Terminators are absolutely destroying most of the Space Marine, most of the Orc infantry. Basically, the Sluggas must have taken out the Luda, and then the Commandos they're really good against too. The only thing they're not good against is the Knob squad. But then Tex had the rest of his Toilailee had the rest of his army to counter the Knob squad. He had 2 shotgun scouts, had a Techmarine with bionics and the plasma gun, and he got the Assault Space Marines for even more disruption. And that is the game. I believe that was a tournament game, and Toilailee was the winner. There is one more game which I have, and I will cast that too. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night.